Hi guys, it's me, Canadian Growth 3043, back after a year. Can't say how long I'll be back for. I'm just making this video because a couple of you have been like, oh my gosh, I miss your videos, I miss seeing you. And I have a very long explanation as to why I haven't been here. In the past year, from the time that I made my last video to now, a lot of things happened. A lot of things that I'm not necessarily going to tell you about because I've never really been one to share a lot of my personal life on YouTube. A lot of the stuff that I've talked about has been ideas, opinions, things that I believe are right, addressing things from online, like in my old sub haters video, obviously I was addressing people from the online world, as well as when I talked about Copper Cab and Onision. Those were all things online, and I've been kind of trying to avoid talking about my life outside of the internet, just because I like to keep my channel and my personal life very separate. Just because a lot of the stuff that happens in my personal life is, again, very personal, so it's not necessarily things that I like to discuss. But what I will tell you is that things are a lot better now. I'm doing okay, but in the past year, it's just been bad thing after bad thing after bad thing, experiencing like deaths in the family and other really bad things that I would prefer not to talk about at this moment. There might be a time where I do feel comfortable enough to talk to you guys about it, to be open, but a lot of the things still bother me, even though a lot of it is gone and done. I'm still affected by a lot of it, and so I just prefer to keep that to myself and to my family and friends for now. I decided to go to school again. A lot of you don't know this, but I don't know why I'm doing this with my hands. I don't know this, but I went to college for a semester last year for arts. I did not like it. I dropped out of college for a lot of reasons, but the main reason is because I just don't like to color within the lines, I guess. I just didn't like the concept of art school. It just wasn't for me, and that's fine. Like, you can go into a program. Sometimes you love the program and you stick with it. Sometimes the program just isn't what you wanted it to be, and sometimes you just feel it isn't a good fit for you, or you decide that it's not really where you want to go in your future, and that was basically me. So I decided at that point that I was going to leave, so I did one semester of college, and then I did about half a year of just working. I worked from January all the way up until August. I did a lot of different jobs, one of which I worked at a call center. That was my first job. It wasn't technically my first job because I did work back when I lived in Europe for, like, over the breaks for the embassy, just doing basic things. Nothing, like, I don't know any government secrets or like anything like that. Again, I was a high schooler, so basically I just did like a lot of hole punching and a lot of shredding and organizing events and junk like that. I did make a video for you guys last week, the day before my birthday, and I was, I'm 21 now. I'm old. I'm so old. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not that old, but I feel like I'm older than I want to be. I feel like I'm not ready to do this whole adulting thing, but I'm sure that a lot of people feel the same way. They become an adult, they just it just happens. You don't have a choice. It's like one day you're chilling at home with your parents, and then the next minute you're living by yourself, or with your partner, or with roommates, and you're like, shit, oh, I cursed. I'm old, I can do that now. Basically, working at a call center was like the worst thing ever. If you gotta do it, do it. But the money is relatively decent, but just working at a call center is one of the worst jobs that I've done. It like some people actually enjoy it. I do not. A lot of working at a call center is, basically telling people they need to buy things that they probably don't need. And if you don't do that, you lose your job. So, I mean, it's not like you want to try to make people buy these things. It's like you gotta, or you're gonna get fired. But another thing that I didn't like about it is customers just swear at you left and right, and then, like, for me, I'm not gonna mention the name of the place that I worked because copyright issues and whatever, but the management was just so bad. Like, our supervisor would, like, walk up and down the aisles and be like, sale! Make sales! Sales! And, like, you're just hoping that the person on the other side of the line doesn't hear that, because you're like, oh my god, just... Oh, because you're trying to make it seem like you're not a call center. You're trying to act like you actually work for the company when you don't. Well, indirectly you do, I guess, but you're not actually working for the company. You're working for the company. You know what I mean? Yeah, that was not a fun job. It was to the point where on my way to work, I would actually cry because I didn't want to go to work that bad. Like, it wasn't even that I was like, oh man, I hate my job. It was just like such a stressful job. A little note to you guys out there: if you ever get calls from a call center, please just don't swear at them. Just be nice. Just if you don't want to listen to them, just hang up, or just say sorry, I'm not interested. Have a good day, and hang up. Just please refrain from getting angry at them and taking out your anger at them, because really, like, they're just average people, and it really does make them feel horrible. One bad call could, like, ruin my entire day. It was the worst. Getting off track, and then I also worked at a warehouse in the summertime. I was working 2 jobs, so I was dying. Like, I wanted to make YouTube videos because I was starting to feel better at that time, but I could not do it because I was working overtime, and I was working at a warehouse, so I was on my feet all day. I was constantly lifting boxes, taping boxes, shipping things. It was a lot of work. It was fun. I really liked it. I loved everybody that I worked with. Everybody was so nice. Everybody was, like, so helpful. As you can see, I'm not exactly the biggest... What am I doing? Biggest, strongest person out there, so I did have a lot of issues with a lot of the lifting of the boxes and whatnot, but everybody would, like, if I had trouble lifting a box, because sometimes I had to lift boxes that were like 50, 60, 70 pounds, and, like, if you look at me, that's more than half of my weight. No, that was hard, but they helped me out, and but at that time we were doing overtime, so I was working from about, what was it, like, I would wake up at 5 in the morning. I know, you're probably like, what the hell, you sleep until 2, like, all the time, but at this time, I somehow managed to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I would be on the bus by 6, and then I would get there by 7, and then I would work from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. No. Yeah, 6 p.m. And then from 6:30 to 8:30. So from 6 p.m., I would go straight to my other job. And then I would work there from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. And then I would pass out. And I did that 6 days a week. And then I ended up having to leave that job because the work was just too much for my body, so I had to leave, and they were very understanding because I had mentioned when I went in for the job interview that there were limitations and that I might not be able to do certain things and that it might be too much for my body in the end, which ended up happening. It ended up being too much for my body, which was unfortunate, but it happens. So I left that job, and then I decided, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go to school, and I decided this in August. So I ended up getting into a school late admission, but I had to basically relearn 8 years of math in the span of 2 weeks, and somehow I managed to do it. And I guess it wasn't relearning because I didn't really learn it in the first place because I was not a good student. I'm not gonna lie, I was a horrible student. For several reasons. I also used to be really depressed when I was in high school, so that made me not really be able to pay attention in class. But yeah, so I ended up getting in. Then I was late admission, went to school for about 2.5 weeks, and then a family member passed away, so then I took a couple of days off just for mourning purposes, and then now the school's on strike, and it's been on strike for about 5 weeks. So I have not really been able to do anything. But it happens, right? See, I have a brand new background because I moved to a new city, and I'm living here, and I'm loving it. This is a beautiful apartment. I'm so lucky I got it. I was searching for an apartment for like about a month, and it took so long. I ended up having to live at my partner's place for a couple weeks before I was able to find this one. I did find a different place with a girl, and then 2 days before I was supposed to move in, she decided randomly, oh, I'm gonna have my friend move in instead, and so I was back to square one. But got a place. We're all good now. And I have a cat. My cat, his name is Danny Boy. Okay, you're going, oh, nice booty. This is my cat, Danny Boy. That's my cat, Danny Boy. And, he's pretty great. I got him on Mother's Day, actually. I was not supposed to get a cat because I was still living with my parents at the time. And, bye! Okay. I was living with my parents at the time, and I was like, oh, they're not going to be happy. But I pulled a prank on them. And I'll tell you about that in a sec. So what I did was I went into the PetSmart with my partner, and we were looking at the animals, and it was just like a regular day. We were just looking around. Because I like cats. I like to look at cats, so that's what we did. And then I found out that Danny Boy, you can't see him, he's behind the corner. He's 7 years old, and he lived his entire life in the shelter. And I don't know what came over me, but I just started bawling in the middle of the shelter because I just couldn't believe that such a beautiful, loving, sweet cat would be in the shelter for 7 years. And like, it just made me feel so bad that he never really got to experience a home, and that he just, like, how bad he must have felt, and like how lonely that must have been. And so I started crying, and I was like, I need to take this cat home. So I did, and that was like the whole time going home I was like, this is a bad idea, but I can't go back now. I can't leave him. I have to take him because he needs love, and I will give him love. And so I got back home, and it was Mother's Day, like I said. And I walk in, and I walk to my dad, and I said, hi, and he's like, hi, and then I said, I need to tell you something, and then I said, Mom isn't the only one celebrating Mother's Day today. And he just kind of went like, what? Like, I put my hand over my stomach when I said that, so, like, he thought that I was pregnant, and Don't try this at home, kids. Anyway, and then he was like, what? And I was like, let me show you. And then I brought in the cat carrier, and he was like, oh, okay. And because the initial shock of thinking I was pregnant was worse than me having a cat, it worked out. So that's just a quick little update on my life. I just figured I would make a quick video to say hi to everybody, and I really want to thank everybody who is still watching me, because I know it's been such a long time since I made a video, and I really haven't lost any of my subscribers, and I'm astonished by that, because most people would just be like, oh, you don't make videos, like, bye. But I really appreciate those of you who have stuck around. I really appreciate those of you who have asked me to come back and who missed me. Like, I'm just amazed that you guys are so nice and so caring. Every single one of my I can't talk. Every single one of my subscribers, you are so kind, and just thank you for sticking with me after all this time. I really, really, really appreciate it. And so yeah, I made this quick little update, and I'm thinking maybe if I have time, if the strike continues, I might, upon your request, make a apartment tour if you guys would like to see beyond the background. If that's what you're interested in, like, just let me know, and I'll get to working on it. All right, bye guys. See you next time, whenever that is.